If you are listening to this podcast, you are likely a new homesteader or homestead dreamer. You're either in the beginning years or the dreaming years of your journey. It seems homesteading has really gained in popularity these past few years. It's no surprise, really. Since 2020, people have started evaluating their priorities, their quality of life, and their health. You may be one of the many people desiring to have skills that make you feel less dependent on the grocery stores by knowing how to grow and raise your own food. Well, in 2020, I realized my dream was to see more and more people live the homesteading lifestyle in the best way possible. This includes preventing bad starts and overwhelm. Do you really need acres and acres of land? Do you need to grow 30 tomato plants? What livestock fits your lifestyle and your goals best? What about a savings and an income plan for when feed and lumber prices go up suddenly? And what about vacations? Do you have a plan that will allow you to leave the homestead from time to time? These are all things we will be covering in the workshop for beginner homesteaders and dreamers. I'll share some of my resources and strategies for building the homestead life you dream about. This 2-hour workshop is designed to help you discover what you really need to start your sustainability journey and to help you feel confident going forward with future plans. On March 3rd at 12 p.m. Eastern, this event will be live, but if you're unable to attend the live, you will have access to the replay. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the workshop, and you'll get the updated version of the Homesteading for Beginners workbook with your registration. Register for the workshop by going to healthyhomesteading.com/workshop. If you're listening to this after the live event, you can still have access to the workshop as well. It'll just be a recorded version. So go to healthyhomesteading.com/workshop. In today's episode, I just decided I'm going to do an update. I haven't done an update on our farm and that sort of thing, and the future plans of this podcast and the things I have coming up. So I thought this would be a good time to do an update because I have some really exciting things coming very soon. I'll start by talking about this podcast and what I have planned for the upcoming weeks and months. So I have several really good interviews coming up, and I'm really excited to share some names, but I'm going to leave that for you to maybe guess or just wait because in case something happens and I don't get these people interviewed, but there's a few interviews that'll be coming up that I'm really excited for you guys to hear. And the other is that I'm going to actually be going to 2 podcast episodes a week, possibly starting next week, maybe the week after. I'm not sure. I haven't decided if I can get the extra episode out before then, but I will be switching the days. So I've been trying to, from the beginning of this podcast, I've had Friday mornings, and then something happened and I got bumped off of Friday mornings, and then sometimes it's Friday afternoons, evenings, Saturday mornings. I think I'm going to actually put it 2 midweek days, so maybe like Tuesday, Thursday. But either way, you'll be able to open your podcast app and see the latest version or the latest update or the latest podcast episode. So it really doesn't matter that much. But this time you'll have 2, hopefully. And I don't know how long I will keep it at 2 episodes a week. But for now, I'm just going to go with the way I feel. I feel like more episodes would be better for you. And you don't have to wait so much time in between the episodes. So I'm going to do, more than likely it would be 1 interview episode and 1 solo episode. So that is sort of the plan I have coming up for that. And then I thought also I would give you a little bit of update on our homestead, actually, because I don't really talk a whole lot about what's going on our homestead. We now have my daughter and her husband and my 3 grandkids here living with us. I'm excited to be sharing the garden with them. We've planted some seeds into. I ended up using the milk jug method, which is we actually have water water jug method, and did some seedlings in there, and they're growing really nice. And it was really fun and exciting to show the kids the whole process. They've seen it before, but it's always exciting to watch them discover that the seeds they put in the ground end up becoming plants. And then it'll be really exciting to watch them be able to eat those, the fruit from those plants. So that's been fun. We're expanding our garden area. Last year I did a straw bale garden, which was a temporary solution to the fact that I did not have anything else to really grow in. My husband really wants to be involved in the planning of the garden and the designing of stuff, so I kind of let him, we had other projects that were more important, which was getting the basement turned into an apartment. So we just, put a hold on the garden. And instead of just not gardening, of course, I have to I have to have a garden of some sort. I created a straw bale garden, and it worked out really well. The squash, I had zucchini and cucumbers did really well. The tomatoes did really well. But it's not my favorite growing method, but it does work. So if you want to know more about that, just go to look up straw bale gardening. You have to condition the straw bales. So if you're in the middle of the summer and you don't have conditioned bales, it's not gonna really work out too well for you. But it's definitely a method. It was nice for me to try out different things. I like to try out different things. I grew some potatoes in some coffee sacks. That could have been better had I done it differently. I was growing them out off of the ground, so because potato sacks degrade, they decompose. Not potato sacks, coffee sacks decompose because it's what is that stuff called? Twine or for some reason I can't remember, and I'm not going to edit that out anyway. So they decomposed while they were growing, but I did get some potatoes out of them, so it did work. And then I did growing some sweet potatoes in some old feed bags, and that actually worked as well. There just wasn't a whole lot of room in there. So this year, sweet potatoes is big on my list because we like potatoes and sweet potatoes. So I will be doing more of that. So what I'm going to do this year in my garden is I'm going to grow in ground this year, or at least a very short, small little raised bed, framed in raised bed thing. So I've kind of figured out where I want that to be. And that's also kind of a temporary solution because we really want to make it more uniform and kind of more of a place for entertainment. So I'm just doing these things just so that I can grow food, and I want to make it a little bit nicer looking in the future. So I'm going to be blocking off an area to keep the bunnies out and stuff, and just grow in ground there. So that's the plan there. As far as the animals, we have 8 chickens now. We have 8 chickens left. We had a lot of loss from predators. Most of the chickens that we lost to predators were because they were chickens that were getting out and of their run. And we had a few escape artists, and all of the escape artists we lost. It's just how it is. And there's foxes and things really close. We have woods, so there's predators there. And then we did lose one other one to a hawk that got into our chicken run, which was very interesting because it was such a tight space. But the hawk got in, couldn't get out, and we had to get the hawk out. So now we have 8 chickens, and at one point we had 17. Now we're down to 8. And I'm trying to decide whether I want to add more chickens or if I want to just start with the quail. I've been wanting to raise quail for a while now. So I'm leaning more towards the quail because in 2 months they will start producing eggs or laying eggs. whereas a chicken takes, 5 to 6 months. So I'm thinking, even though the quail eggs are small, you just get more quail to equal the chicken eggs, and I also am wanting that eventually to be as a meat source, quail. We will be having a guest on the podcast talking about quail. So if you are one of those people that is curious about raising quail, it's a very good animal to raise in a small space. But we will get more into that when I interview my friend Jasmine to talk about raising quail. So that is one of the interviews coming up. So I just told you a name, but I'm pretty sure I can get Jasmine for sure on here. I just haven't done the interview yet, so there's that. I would like to get quail. I really am leaning towards getting to quail this year. As far as any other animal, we probably won't be adding anything else. It'll either be chickens, quail, or quail. As far as like the rest of the animals, we just need to get to the point where we have the good setup for our horses. Once we have a good setup for our horses, then we can start adding other animals. Eventually, I'd like to raise some pigs and some goats, at least having the goats for brush control, but also possibly having the ability to go into milk, getting some into milk. So I'd probably get one that would be good for both, get some does and have them bred somewhere else. But that is kind of like my loose plan for this, and that is the update for this podcast. I struggled. Honestly, I struggled today getting this podcast recorded because it's a Saturday. There's mowing going on outside. There's the kids playing. I mean, it's all wonderful stuff, but I didn't want to have all these sounds. You can probably hear the mower right now, but I didn't want to have all these background sounds. But anyway, that's life, and that's just what we have going on here. I will be back here. I'm not sure. The next episode may be on a Tuesday or a Thursday. I'm still working out my schedule, just to be honest with you. But if you want to know when the episodes are coming, make sure you're on my email list. You can go to healthyhomesteading.com. I believe I have, you can get, if you're on the checklist, if you've gotten the checklist, by the way, if you don't have the checklist, I updated it. If you didn't hear the last episode, get the checklist, the Homesteading for Beginners checklist, and then you'll be on my email list. And then I update everyone on when the next episodes are being released. So, okay, that is all for today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, or whenever you're listening to this. I hope your day is wonderful.